The remedy is called Pulsatilla. Pulsatilla. Now, what is Pulsatilla? Is it sanguine, choleric, melancholic, phlegmatic? Well, if you were to put it somewhere, it'd probably be phlegmatic, sanguine. Okay, immediately you think phlegmatic, you think water. You think there's a maybe physically holding on to a lot of water, but also emotional water. There's a lot of emotionality here. Um, what was really interesting about this pulsatilla patient that I just saw recently was that the moment I said, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? And it was our first time meeting, immediately she went into tears. Whoa. She went immediately into weepiness. What is one of the more fundamental features of pulsatilla as a constitution? Weepiness. Oh my God. Weepiness, you ask them a question, they're answering the question, and they can't get the answer out because they're just weeping and crying and they're snobbing and snorting and they can't they're almost hyperventilating. There's so much grief. There's so much emotionality. They can barely get it out. See? This is pulsatilla. And this is something that you saw if you were to have been peeking into the session with me earlier in this specific patient, you would have seen that her video was off, her camera was off her face most of the time. We made eye contact only really towards the end of the session, for the full hour session. A little bit off center and looking kind of away from the camera. So this points to reserve. There's a type of shyness. There's a reserve and shyness and weepiness with pulsatilla, right? That's just really foreground. Like you can really see the personality of this person. Very foreground. What else do you find? You find also fixed ideas. There's something ideologically rigid about certain types of pulsatilla clients. What you'll see oftentimes is this very almost like fundamentalist connection to the deen. Not fundamentalist in terms of what we're typically hearing about fundamentalists in the news and stuff like that, but they're just like really attached and identified with being Muslim or being Christian or being American or whatever the attachment may be with. But there's a dogmatism and there's a loyalty to that connection that's very profound, right? In this case, of course, it was to Islam and to Allah, but there was this also deep feeling of shame because she felt that she had not been loyal to the covenant, right? So there's all this kind of folding against the self-doubt, riddled with self-doubt. Okay, so you're kind of getting a picture of this is pulsatilla, right? This person, again, speaking now more broadly, typically is going to be more heavier set. They're going to hold on to water a lot, which speaks to the emotion of sadness that they hold on to. There's a feeling of betrayal. There's a feeling of being forsaken. Of being forsaken. This is classic pulsatilla. Feeling abandoned. There's abandonment wounds that are really central with pulsatilla. And for those of you that may be hearing this and resonating with this, you'll see that, subhanAllah, like that feels either I know someone like this or I am this person, because you're feeling it, right? There's something of a resonance happening. But what's really beautiful about this person, this pulsatilla person, again speaking in broad terms now, that when you begin to actually console them, they are receptive to consolation, which is a very interesting rubric or feature, because in other constitutional temperaments, other homeopathic constitutions, other types, you'll find, for example, also a lot of sadness. There's a lot of rigidity around identity, around belief and faith and one's commitments. But there is this reserve with consolation. So if you try to console them, they'll bat you away, they'll turn away, they'll walk away, they'll fight back, they'll say something scathing maybe back at you. Not because they don't like you or because you did something wrong, but because for them to be consoled means like almost like you're validating that something's deeply wrong with them. And there's something very proud in them that they can't accept it. So there's almost like this duality here. Almost. They're not exactly on a polarity, but there's like they're both very feminine remedies. They're two very women centric remedies. It's very rare that you'll find a man, a grown man, that needs the remedy pulsatilla. It's a very, feminine remedy, if you will. Actually, the most feminine constitution is known to be pulsatilla. But also a very common feminine type is Natrum Muriaticum, Nat Mur, which is what I was speaking about regarding the one who has this wall. I don't like to be consoled. Even though she feels broken inside and feels also similarly in despair and hopeless. But there's this almost pride-based wall that can be very difficult to penetrate, right? And part of what the remedy can do is actually begin to soften that wall, that people that need Nat Mur are more able to receive love, receive care, right? And Pulsatilla is able to kind of find her own inner strength and find the courage to stop self-sabotaging herself, right? So these remedies work towards creating more strength,